Hello, dear Starshines. Welcome, welcome, welcome to today's Lunchtime Chats. For those of you who are new, my name is Christina and I'm an acceleration expert. And we are here to talk about those topics and issues that are significant for us starseeds, way showers, and new paradigm visionaries. And I am here to give, to the best of my ability, a liberated perspective to these unique challenges that we face every day. So welcome, welcome, welcome. I want to give a shout out to all the folks that have been commenting in our Telegram group, Multidimensional Human. Thank you so much. I got to peruse those comments recently, and several of the questions that were asked, I'm going to talk about today. So today I'm going to go deeper into discipline. I think some of us starseeds might confuse discipline versus reprimand. So I'm going to go deeper into what I'm talking about, what I was referring to in an earlier chat about. It's really, really helpful for us to learn how to discipline our ego driver so it can be in alignment, in harmony with the truth of who we are. So I'm going to go into that further. And then a few different starshines messaged me and also made comments in our Telegram group, Multidimensional Human, inquiring about Jaguar medicine and Jaguar tracking. So I want to, of course, go more into that because that's very helpful for all of us, especially as star seeds that are we're getting expanded and awakened at a very fast pace these days. And this very, very grounded, practical, and centered teachings about Jaguar medicine can really help you all out. So I want to go into that for sure. And then I want to talk about Saturn rearing its head again via the energies of this past blood moon eclipse. The eclipse is not over. Well, so it happened, but the ripple effects of the energies continues for months to come. And a lot of this does mean Saturn control patterns rearing its head. We need to come face to face with those control patterns and the ways we consciously and unconsciously agree to plug ourselves into those life-sucking vampiric systems. So I'm going to go more into that. So welcome, everybody. So good to see you, Beverly. Glad you're here. Hey, Joanne. Nice to see you. Lisa Marie. So good to see you, darling. And Sherry. Hey, hey, what's up? And oh yeah, dear sister, Sherry. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We have two Sherrys with us today. All right, so I'm curious what if you guys caught that last chat, well, obviously the ones that asked the questions did, about discipline. I'm curious if there's some specific questions about discipline or ideas about discipline that you'd like to share, just to, help me hone in a little bit more on what's important to talk about. My knee-jerk reaction response to the question about discipline is that, for those who have an aversion to discipline, I imagine they equate discipline with being reprimanded. Okay, because I don't know about you, when I went to school, when you were disciplined, that means you were getting reprimanded about something, right? You're either getting paddled, and yes, I went to the school during the generations when the principals did paddle you, whether it means getting paddled or getting detention or something like this. What does discipline mean to you? And when you think about discipline, do you cringe or do you say yes? Or is there some kind of place in between on that spectrum? Where do you feel you are in relationship to discipline? Because as I mentioned in the previous chat, discipline is kind of like a bad word among some circles. And I was highlighting the advantage of having discipline. So I'll go in a little bit about where I'm at in relationship to discipline. And I really please put something in the chats. I'd love to hear from you guys on where you feel you are at in discipline. Does it mean disciplined, like getting punished, or does it have another kind of meaning for you? So, oh yeah, so dear sister Sherry says, yes, the word discipline for me feels punishing. And Joanne says, discipline is taught via understanding and compassion, holding consistent, appropriate boundaries with one's loving intention. Discipline becomes internalized. Ah, okay, okay. So thank you, Joanne, for that. Yeah, so, I'm kind of like with Sherry. When I was originally first introduced to the idea about discipline, it came in the form of punishment, being reprimanded, getting spanked, getting grounded, getting, yelled at or whatever. It wasn't until later in my life did I recognize that the word discipline had another meaning. And that is when I started going into the spiritual arts, particularly yoga, meditation, and mantras. And it was when I was exposed to those sorts of things when I was in my teenagerhood, I realized, okay, so this means something else more than what I thought. And what I realized very quickly when I was going into like yoga teacher training and stuff was that my ego driver was not very well disciplined. My ego driver was kind of like this, wild child that got its way when I had my temper tantrums, internal temper tantrums, right? We have our internal temper tantrums, and I realized I had those. And they would really show their face when I was going into postures where I had a lot of resistance or I had a lot of pain or a lot of fear, especially the ones that I had fear going into. And you would think, how can putting your body in any particular position trigger fear? And trust me, when you go into those disciplines, right, when you go into those practices, you will discover certain things that bring you a lot of fear. For some people, it's extreme back bends. For others, it's just the actual deeper surrendering that needs to happen in order for them to get into a position, right? And others, of course, there's a whole myriad of things. So for me, it was like a certain kind of uh, hip movement combined with surrendering forward. And I had so much fear. I was never able to really relax and surrender into it. And that's where my ego driver would pitch a temper tantrum. And instantly it was like my mind was racing, and I was feeding the fear. This is a really crude way of saying it, but I would emotionally masturbate about the fear. It's like I didn't need to keep going there, but I would, because it was, I was not disciplined. I lacked the presence within myself to take a deep breath and recognize within myself that I was having a reaction. Okay, so just that mere act of stopping the big reaction, and all the stuff that comes up inside the body, and instead choose something different, right? Stopping the big wave of activity and choosing something different. That takes discipline. So by practicing that over and over again, I successfully disciplined my ego driver to not do that. Instead of the big wave of and all that, right? That I enjoy doing it, right? On some level, I enjoyed it, and not at the same time, right? Instead, I trained my ego driver to make space for a breath and pause. Okay. Now, there are a gazillion different angles we can look at what a disciplined ego driver is and ways to do it, right? But first we have to get over the story we have inside of ourselves that discipline means something negative. And that's usually because of some kind of conditioning we had when we were growing up. And also it relates to our disempowerment via victimhood, buying into a victimhood, right? And I think this is why we developed a relationship of discipline actually meaning reprimand versus discipline means stopping yourself and making a conscious choice instead of having a reaction, right? So the bottom line of disciplining yourself is to make space for that choice to happen, for it to actually be a choice versus a programmed behavior, reaction, that's the way it's going to be. Instead, you adapt some sort of practice to create that empty space, that pause. So you can evaluate something, you can come at it differently than before. That's maybe in its simplest form. Now, discipline on a physical level means something else, but it still means getting the ego driver out of the way. For example, I'm learning how to play the lyra harp. Right? I'm terrible at it. I play like a third grader, but it makes me happy. It brings me joy, so I do it. And what I notice is that when I can't see the chords, my reactions to that starts happening, and I am busy in my uncomfortable feeling instead of just relaxing and letting my muscle memory take over. And one day I was able to take a breath, make a pause. And when I was able to make the pause while I was playing, pause inside, while I was playing, I realized, oh, my muscle memory has got this. I can totally play these chords, right? Without looking at the strings and without thinking so hard. And you know what I mean? It was like, oh, wait a minute. I played this so much. I have a muscle memory for playing this song. So in that particular context, the discipline was making that space so I can observe what my body was doing and how it was it was already, the memory, it was kind of like a guidance system, was able to take me through it without my mind thoughts being involved. So there's that kind of discipline. Physical discipline is always a good idea when you're able to do it for yourself. That's, where you're not crossing that line of harming yourself. Then there's also emotional discipline. Emotional discipline is a whole big scope of understanding. And this is where Jaguar medicine comes in. Jaguar medicine, to me, is an ancient expression, teachings that the ancients discovered in relationship to being disciplined emotionally. And that doesn't mean being in control of your emotions. So let's take that part out. Having emotional discipline has zero to do with controlling your emotions. In fact, it's the exact opposite. It is being able to allow your emotions to flow freely, like water, through you, without capturing it, without capturing the emotions that feed a thought form. Okay, it's the ability to be in stillness and having the emotion, strong or not, at the same time. That's what I would boil down emotional discipline. And that is one of those core skills that comes with exploring Jaguar medicine, Jaguar tracking. Here, let me check in real quick. Hey, Louise, good to see you, sweetie. Dear Felicia says, this is addiction behavior. Okay, I think she's talking about the reaction. Reaction is addiction behavior. And dear Sister Joanne says, the power of the pause. Isn't that the truth? Oh, yeah, absolutely. And then we have Lisa Marie says, I can see where discipline is helpful when integrating new ways of being. Beautiful way to say it, darling. However, I sachet back and forth, creating balance in the face of discipline. My default is all or nothing, and that doesn't feel good. Yeah. All or nothing. That's the game, right? It's in moderation. It's in if you think about it, like surfing a board. It's like you can't go too far one way or the other, or else you're gonna tip over and the whole thing and the game is over, right? So it's just this constant checks and checking in and adjustment, constant checking in and adjustment. When it comes to, I'll go back on the Jaguar tangent in a minute. When it comes to building discipline, discipline comes also hand in hand with willpower, okay? And what we need to accept about ourselves is that as free spirit as we think we are, we're all creatures of habit. We're all creatures of habit, no matter how free spirited we are. There are still habits within our free spiritedness. And that doesn't mean we're not spontaneous, and it doesn't mean we're not creative. I mean, we're all those things, but we have habits within all that. And if we start to align our will to developing habits that are helpful, that we know are helpful, then that is us creating discipline. Okay. Now, discipline, I mean, it's maybe not the best word to use. It's the one that I have at the time to describe what I'm talking about. Um, like creating muscle memory. Muscle memory happened because I disciplined myself to do chords, to play. And when I practice, I play chords. So my muscles would, and my ear can hear the chords over and over and over again. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You know what I mean? All that. And through that discipline, I achieved muscle memory. And I'm also teaching my ear because you guys don't know this about me, but I'm pretty tone deaf. At least I've been told I've been tone deaf, but now I'm learning. It's not that I've been tone deaf. It's just I was told I was, so I assumed I was. Therefore, I lived like I was. Right? That's how that went in my world. Anyway, so there's a lot to be said about those sorts of things, but getting to more of the point about the all or nothing thing, there is a benefit on a subconscious level on why the all or nothing exists. And here's the thing: our ego driver is always about staying in the familiar, staying in what's comfortable, keeping us safe. It's really been deeply programmed on what it is that you need to know in order to keep yourself alive in the control systems of this world. Okay, control systems, including the stuff of Saturn I'm going to be talking about later. So our ego driver, if you boil that down, our ego driver is programmed to serve a system of disempowerment that drains our energy. That we're all trained to siphon off our energy and give it to these systems. Okay, our ego driver is an ally to those systems. So these little spins that we have going on inside of ourselves are our own ego driver working against us in creating a life that is in integrity with who we truly are, creating a walk that is in integrity with who we truly are. Okay, as as a sovereign, multidimensional being. Our ego driver is programmed to be the exact opposite of that. So through gentleness, compassion, focus, consistency, we slowly discipline our ego driver to bring it back into the fold of the truth, that's to be in alignment with the truth of who we are. So all or nothing is part of those games, because when you are, like I said, on that surfboard of life, this flow of life, right? It's a flow. There is no all the way to the left and that's it, or all the way to the right and that's it. It's all the flow. It's like water. It's like navigating water. Like in a canoe, you can't always just paddle on one side. You gotta keep tweaking the trajectory, your trajectory through the water. And such is life. And these extremes and opposites and contrasts all have a place, do truly have a harmonic place within our lives, within our river of life. We just need to be allowing of these pieces. And again, that's another kind of discipline, not to step into the right or wrong, all, nothing, black, white, negative, positive, good, evil, not to step into the blindness of that kind of perceiving. I was in a conversation earlier today, and I ended up making a rather confrontive comment about making a bunch of assumptions, and that landed in a way. I was framing it up as like stressing, making assumptions causing undue stress, right? But it landed in a way as a person feeling like they're being told that their worries aren't true. It's not real. Okay, so that's polarity thinking. Now, as you guys know, probably, and those of you who have been navigating this 4D field for a while, you recognize that there is no good, bad, right, or wrong. And the true liberation comes when you recognize that they're both right, that they both can be so. The opposite, the middle, all these pieces can be so all at the same time. And once you realize all of those could be so all at the same time, now all of a sudden you're freed up. you're not locked in one particular polarity stance, and you can make a different decision. There's a different option that arises for you once you step out of this or that. I love the but and statement. But and right? Because these verses, this versus that, now you're getting to the, because now your energy is going to get drained into having to debate on this is right, this is why this is right, and that is wrong. Versus, yes, and this is so, but and so is this. These are two different ways of being in relationship to the same frequency. Okay. So how we be is everything. And this is where I feel like, we benefit from really discipline our ego driver. It changes the way we be. The way we be isn't in resonance with these control systems anymore. The way we be instead sees a bigger picture, a grander landscape, and therefore come at these systems in very different ways. All right. And then Joanne's going to chime in. She says, it seems that the term discipline has been hijacked and the meaning reversed to support the power system, power over system control. Yes, exactly. See, this is how we get tricked into it, because it takes the truth and then we get the reverse of it. So it still has the vibration. It still has the vibration, a powerful understanding to it, but it's given to us in reverse. Okay. And when it's given to us in reverse, it stops us before we even get started. Okay. For a lot of people, it stops us before we get started. There's so many examples of this kind of reversal. One really popular one that's been popularized in the Superman or the superhero comics is that famous line that Spider-Man's uncle, what was his name? Uncle Bud. I don't remember his name. Aunt May's husband before he died. A powerful statement that that Spider-Man's uncle said to him, this, which was, with great power comes responsibility. Right? With great power comes great responsibility. I believe that's the quote. Okay. Now, if you sit back and feel the power of that statement in your body, you realize there is definitely something to it. But then you also realize maybe in the back end that, ooh, yuck, I don't want all that responsibility. It's like, what a weight that is to step into my power. And now I'm responsible for all this stuff, right? It feels, and it turns you stepping into power into a disempowered dynamic, right? Right? You have great power. Oh, but if you do it wrong, now you're not with an integrity, right? Which is not the truth, because I know many powerful people that do have zero integrity, right? So really the whole story of with great power comes great responsibility is a control system reversal. And it's a reversal of a truth that goes much deeper inside of us. And those of you who have been taking action on this have discovered what I mean by this. And that is, by taking responsibility, there is great power. Feel the difference? Feel the difference? I mean, huge difference in the body. When you hear that and when you say it, by taking responsibility, there is great power. That's an example on how these reversals work. Okay. And these are all Saturn programs designed to get us to step into one of those corners of the disempowerment triangle, which leaks energy. Okay. There are people who are deeply invested in these disempowerment systems and are so deeply in, they don't know. They don't know that they themselves have become a vampire. They suck the life out of people, out of their suffering, because they're in the system that they're choosing to participate in. You see what I mean? They're choosing to support. They're choosing to put their money in, their attention in, their life force energy into these systems, draining their energy, draining their energy, draining their energy. And now those people, maybe they're, intuitives, their social, whatever, their support system has to watch them make those choices, and yeah, you want to save them, but you can't. Why? Because they're not willing to make a different choice. You see? So that's where that responsibility comes in. You have to be willing to take responsibility for how you be. And once you take responsibility for how you be, there's no pointing the finger outwards on why you're not doing the things you need to be doing, why you lack certain kinds of discipline to support yourself. Okay? Support your wellness, support your happiness, support, you in navigating this world in a way that is true to you. Okay. So, Jaguar medicine, coming back to it. Because these programs are so strong, our emotional field is all bound up, locked up, compartmentalized, all these things. And when we do that, we become numb. We become raw, you become numb and cut off, and it becomes a blind spot where something can be sitting right in front of you and you won't see it because you have locked up all these different aspects of you that could possibly see it. Okay, you've locked them up, you made it wrong, you put it in the prison, you buried it. We do all these things to ourselves, especially as children. If we have really harsh upbringing, people like reprimanding us real harshly for just being a kid doing something silly, right? Remember one time I I decided to do an art project in my room, and wouldn't you know it, the art project was with Sharpie markers on my wall. I was a kid. I didn't realize anything was anything, just that I was having a real great time coloring and making all these shapes and colors on my bedroom wall. And of course, and a parent would come in and see that and have a meltdown, right? Because they are seeing it through their lens. Oh my gosh, this is a rental we don't own. If this, I can't cover it up with paint. And then, oh, I got to paint. And oh, I got to do this. How am I going to get the money? How am I going to get the time? How am I going to, and all this because she had a color on you can imagine. So if you had an upbringing where your parents were just not in the space to meet you where you were as a child, you had a really harsh consequences to things. And that caused us to shut things down because we're like, we don't want to get yelled at like that again. We don't want to get spanked like that again. We don't want to feel like we are the problem in our family like that again, right? Younger ones carry a lot of guilt and shame because they feel like they are part of they cause problems in their family. Like it's their fault their parents are stressed. It's their fault that, they're in certain circumstances, or the parents are breaking up or whatever. Kids are very, very sensitive like this, because their senses, their Jaguar senses are full on. They're very sensitive. They're feeling things with every ounce of their being. They're feeling it with every inch of their being. Okay. And then we train them to close them down. And then as we compartmentalize and close things down, we become blind and numb. Okay. And we don't tend to things anymore the way we used to. And this eventually comes out later in life as major illnesses, dysfunctions, stuff like this. So imagine what your life would be if you had a kind of relationship with your emotions that showed you how valuable, how accurate, how powerful your emotions were. Instead of your emotions are getting you into something that causes trouble, instead your emotions brought you to some place that was more full, more honest, more authentic, more loving, and interconnected with your people around you. Imagine if that was the relationship to your emotions that you grew up with, right? We would be very different people. Our empathic abilities wouldn't be a burden. Our empathic abilities would be a gift. Okay. Not just for us, but for everybody who knows us. They would be a gift if that were the case. So, coming back to the Jaguar medicine, it's the art. It's the art of being able to be in your awareness. Okay. With your awareness and awareness alone, without the mind thoughts, right? You're free of mind thoughts in your awareness. That means data sets are coming into your awareness, and you're not feeding mind thoughts about it. The data set comes in and you witness it. The emotional feeling comes in and you witness it. Whatever the imagery, whatever the data sets are, comes in and you witness it. Without the thoughts, without the programs, without the, all the different things that cause noise inside of us, you are the still water. One of the things I loved about living in the mountains, I'm talking about the Rocky Mountains, was that there is these high mountain lakes. And these mountain lakes were spring-fed, ice cold, crystal clear. And when I had the opportunity to be there during days of no wind and the water was completely still, it was like glass. You can see the reflection of everything around that lake, including the sky, the stars, like it was a mirror. Okay, glass. That is the level of stillness that I'm talking about, that Jaguar achieves. Okay. This level of Jaguar awareness doesn't have reactions. It is free of those reactions and just is completely still. And you can imagine your thoughts, your feelings, your reactions in this imagery of the still mountain lake. Is every thought creates a wave. Every emotion creates a huge splash. Okay. You can't see clearly anymore the data sets because of all that movement, because of all that noise. Okay, all that activity. So it's really getting yourself to that quiet place inside and letting yourself be that still lake. And when you want to contemplate something, remain in that still lake and bring it forward. And just watch. Don't engage, just watch. If it's really uncomfortable feelings, still don't engage, just watch. Just watch, just watch. See, what happens is that when we're not in our bodies and, we're not behind our eyes, we're in permanent reaction mode. There is no watching. It's just react, react, react. Everything needs a response. This statement needs a response. This feeling needs a response. This, it's like this constant back and forth, constant activity. And that really, some people operate their entire lives like that. But when it comes to people, multidimensionals, disciplining themselves so they can enhance their abilities, really get in tune with their multidimensional aspects of who they are, there's a stillness that is required. You need to allow the stillness to be there so these feelings can move, so emotions can move. And yes, emotions are different than feelings. Emotions is like stuck all those compartmentalized parts in your emotional body that get released, and there's a big explosion of energy. The energy is emotions from the past that weren't felt or acknowledged or allowed. Okay, versus feeling is something that's happening in the very here and now. Okay, so there is a difference between the two. Both feel very similarly to witness. All right, dear Sister Phyllis. Yeah, we go until 1 o'clock Mountain Time. So emotional discipline is the art of Jaguar medicine, I would say. Our emotional body, our feeling body, has the capability of giving us data sets that are hyperdimensional. We can feel activity on a cosmic level of who we are, on a galactic level of who we are via our emotional body. Our mental body won't get us there. It won't get us there. Because our mental body is polarized. It's all about right, wrong, good, bad. Our brain, left hemisphere, right hemisphere. It's all about the, right? It's all about the, is this or that? It's this versus this. Okay. Is this right? Is this wrong? I don't know. And then there's an uncomfortable feeling about, I don't know. Right. So it all goes like this. It all goes like this. So, this way of approaching yourself with this Jaguar consciousness is very, very, very valuable, because this is how you go into the unknown and come out with something beneficial, right? This is how you're able to go into an unknown space, bring in data sets that were coming from a place of unknown, where you have no idea about anything, right? Like that novice mind, that beginner mind, and take in those data sets and witness them, and and they won't be distorted or reverted or reversed. And then you can come back into your present moment place and have another understanding, have a great mystery story to tell, to share with yourself or other people. Jaguar medicine is how you get to what is unknown. Talking about it won't get you there, because every time we talk, we're talking about the things that we know or we think we know, our opinions, our thoughts, our perceptions, right? But when you're in silent mode and you're feeling with your awareness through that emotional body, that is where you get golden nuggets from the spaces of the unknown. And another part of that is being able to have your emotion without having mind thoughts about it. Like, say your trigger is betrayal, and you're experiencing the heartbreak of betrayal. And while you're experiencing the pain of that, your mind is going, it's because of this, and they did that, and this, and this. So now what's happened is your ego driver has hijacked the power of your emotion to feed and anchor in more deeply your thought forms. So now you're really convinced it's the truth. Versus if you have the heartbreak of betrayal, and you just relax your head, your mind thoughts, and let it move through you, it's actually going to take you to some place you had no idea existed before. Okay. And those mind thoughts, instead of being validated and fueled by your emotions, they actually dissolve. And you realize, oh, these mind thoughts were showing me my relationship to these feelings. Not that these feelings are the truth. Usually because we have a thought and a feeling with it, we believe it's the truth and we're sticking with it, right? But that's no. You learn something completely different when it comes to Jaguar medicine. Instead, you realize that it's all moving parts. It's all moving parts. And there is no absolute only one way to be in relationship to something. And jaguar is a great example, the actual animal jaguar, right? If you're in right relationship, I love this comparison. This is something that Alberto used to say all the time, and I really love it. If you're in right relationship with jaguar, when you're in the jungle, when you're in the lands in which jaguar lives, when you're in right relationship with jaguar, it's a magnificent, revered, honored creature, mother of the jungle. One known for its big heart, known for its mystical qualities. If you're not in right relationship with jaguar, mystical or not, you're lunch. Does that make, because jaguar had you for lunch, and it was an excruciating journey to that, does that make jaguar good or bad, right or wrong? Does it make you good or bad, right or wrong? Right? So if you look at everything that you have an aversion to in your life as a relationship of your choosing in some level, consciously or not, then that'll help you let go of these good or bads, right or wrongs, and realize, oh, this is my relationship to that right now. This is happening because if you know, you know. But if you don't, now you know, okay, there's something inside my subconscious is bringing me to be in this kind of relationship with this particular energy. And now you have a mystic journey to go on. Go into the unknown and find out what is the peace that keeps you, and what's the peace in your subconscious that keeps you in this kind of relationship with that frequency. Versus this is the way it is. I'm always betrayed. My heart breaks because people lie, and I can't judge good character, and you know what I mean, whatever your list of reasons why, and whatever that story is. If you're not willing to let go of that, you're never going to be able to go into the unknown and figure out what really is making this happen. And what's really making this happen? Our multidimensional self. Okay. And what do I mean by that? We are nesting dolls of consciousness. We are nesting dolls of, let's say, templates of consciousness within inside of each other. So in the very base core template, we are the frequency of the Pachamama, of Mother Earth. The next template is the template of the telluric realm, cellular intelligence, elemental intelligence. Okay, the next level template is our personality, our ego driver, who we think we are, 3D world. Next level template is the collective identity of who we think we are, all the thoughts and feelings, conscious, subconscious, all the programs, all the busyness that glues us all together as a whole. That's the next one. The next template beyond that is your soul's journey, who you are as a soul, who you think you are on a soul level. And yes, we do have an ego driver still, even at the soul level. We have a sense of identity at the soul level. And then who you are beyond that, your light body, your blueprint, your light body, your the light morphic field that is the precursor to the manifestation, right? And then who you are beyond that, frequency, soul song, who you are beyond that, a aspect of the all that is consciousness, who you are beyond that. Okay, and all of these, and this goes out all the way to the infinite cosmic levels, cosmic then infinite levels, right? Quantum levels, let's call it. And all of these nesting dolls of who you are contributing into the very reality that you're walking in this second, in this very moment. It is an inertia of energy, an inertia of consciousness, an inertia of life force that has taken form and is playing out in the sacred drama that is your life. Okay, this is why we do cycles over and over and over again. Cycles, grand cosmic cycles down to the most minute cycles. Okay. So, tying this into Saturn, I really want to tie this into Saturn for you guys. We are our very being. Everything about our reality is a rhythm within a rhythm within a rhythm within a rhythm. And I want to show you guys a graphic to exemplify what I mean. Now let me see if I can share this. I want to share something with you guys. I want to share my screen. Okay. All right, hold on, I'm getting there. Because this is going to show you the rhythms upon rhythms, and this will make a lot more sense on why I'm talking about Saturn holding a particular frequency for us, okay? All right. Now, I will share the link for this in the chats, okay? So you guys can examine this video because it's activating. It's a computer simulation, but it's very, very activating. Okay, you guys can see this. Let me see if I can have multiple screens open. Let me see, you guys can see this. Yes, you can see it. Okay, great. So here I'm going to hit play. Now, the blue dot in the center is the sun traveling through the cosmos. Okay. Then you have Mercury, which is the red coil. And then you have Mars and Venus. Okay, so each of the planets are represented here. And then when the green coil on the inside, that is the Earth, and with the moon rotating around it. So let's see this in action. Check this out. Okay. Okay. Now you can see how this is creating spirals, rhythms within rhythms within rhythms. Okay. Keep watching. Check this out. Rhythms within rhythms within rhythms. Ooh, look at that. Okay. Now these outer rhythms are the planets such as Saturn, Jupiter, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, and then the famous planet X that we talk about. Now this is one of my favorite parts, is when they actually go into these rhythms. We just passed the cycle of Mercury. Rhythms within rhythms within rhythms. Okay. You guys see what I mean? Hopefully that came out. Hopefully that worked out. You guys see what I mean now? Rhythms within rhythms. These are spirals. This is a rhythm. Something moving like this is a rhythm. Boom, 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 right? And you have short rhythms and long rhythms. They're all rhythms, all the same. Okay. Now these rhythms have with it magnetics. So when something spins, did you guys ever go on that ride in those carnivals where it spins and you're flat up against the wall and the floor drops out and you're flat up against the wall, right? The centrifugal force keeps you splattered. Okay. Every single planet has a centrifugal force, centripetal centrifugal force going on. And in the complex dynamics of the core of that planet, it creates, on Earth, it creates gravity, but all these other planets are gravitational. So they're gravitational as they're spinning, and they're making the rhythm as they spin. Okay? These gravitational pulls are really powerful. So when I start talking about Saturn, there's a rhythm within our reality. Let me go back so you can see this part again. There's a rhythm. See, all of these outer rhythms of our trajectory, these are all making up our reality, right? The red is the activity of our mental body, right? And then you have Venus, which this is our frequency, how we relate to love and beauty. Notice the difference of that particular rhythm. And then you have Mars, which is I think it's this. It's not the pink one. It's this one over here that that carries a particular influence subconsciously, right? These are all happening on a subconscious plane within our reality, framing up our experience. All of those rhythms coming together are the invisible forces, are one of the layers of invisible forces that are making up our very reality of how we are experiencing this world, how our lenses are operating in this world, right? Your reality is how you are, how you see things. Okay, so Saturn is in there, and that is a rhythm that is a much bigger, very powerful, but it's a much bigger, slower rhythm within that spiral. And this eclipse that we had takes the power of that rhythm and connects it directly into not just our emotional body, but also deeper aspects of our subconscious. Okay. So the moon has the most immediate rhythm right now that we're aware of, right? But as soon as you see a clip like that, like what I just showed you, then you realize, okay, there's much stronger rhythms besides the moon going on. But when these magnetic forces have significant interactions, alignments with our inner forces, with our smaller rhythms, they're very, very powerful for us. So this particular eclipse anchored in a deeper awareness that has yet to be discovered. It has to work its way out, because as what Jaguar medicine has taught me is that this Hold on a second. Hold on, there's disrupting energy coming in about this. Hold on, hold on. No, dear sister, this is a live recording. Just look at your clock and know that we're almost to the hour. And you can do the math. All right. So these, wow, I totally got interrupted on that. Hold on. It's like a zzz coming in. Okay. So we have systems within systems. So what Jaguar medicine has taught me is that the shift happens inside, deep inside, deep inside. And it's not until I've actually integrated and digested that shift does my awareness, my conscious mind, become attuned to the understanding of what just happened. Okay? And when I say what just happened, it could have been something that happened 10 years ago, last year, last week. Okay? It all depends on how much interference, how much digesting needs to happen in order for me to integrate the energy shift that happened. So this energy shift that I'm talking about that happened with the eclipse, right? It's going to take time to digest it. There's a very significant light, very significant illumination that happened with this eclipse. And it has a very strong relationship to that Saturn rhythm. Okay? Because this alignment had to do with the sun, which was the core of that spiral, right? The moon, which is our most immediate rhythm that we have, that's ebbs and flows in and out of our conscious and subconscious mind. And then Saturn, the holder of our control systems. So what this means is that as we become more illuminated inside of ourselves in relationship to that energy, we're going to be flushing out that much more that is not of the light, that much more that is a part of those demented control systems designed to siphon off life and create disempowerment. Okay? Just a little recap on the kinds of systems Saturn has dark lords over humanity. It's our medical system, our military, our education system, our religions, our government, our food systems. Okay? So these are very, very, very deep core embedded systems that humanity operates with. Okay, very few humans do not operate with this flavor of Saturn rhythms. Very few humans. Okay. I would say it's a miracle that they can be so isolated to be completely removed from these systems, really. Maybe you agree. I don't know. All right, so the deal is that the reason why I'm talking about this is so you guys can get ahead of it and understand that instead of taking the relationship you have with Saturn into the downward spiral of defeatedness and disempowerment and depression, recognize that that much more light has been driven deeper into your subconscious, and now you're able to see these things that you weren't able to see before. Okay? And for a lot of starseeds, what's happening, and it's getting revealed in dream time particularly, for a lot of starseeds, indigos, what's happening is that you're recognizing that there's an actual technology that's anchoring in these rhythms of Saturn into the core of our being, the core of the planet, core of our own being. Okay, these are like technologies. And for some people that flips them out, like, oh my gosh. But for other people, it's like, oh good, if it's a technology, that means there's something we can do about it once we figure out what that is to do, thing is to do. Okay, so the best thing you can do is practice witnessing your feelings that are happening when you're engaging in these systems. Okay? These systems can only be maintained because they're vampiric systems that require life force energy. They have no life force energy of their own. They have to be fed. These systems, in order for them to continue to propagate, they have to be fed. And if you are being really honest with yourself and really feeling the call of your purpose here and how you can benefit all of mankind, you can reevaluate how invested or not invested you're going to be in relationship to these systems. Okay. Like, for example, I mean, I know absolutely under no circumstances am I a supporter of any kind of war. Nope. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how evil the person is, they say they are. Doesn't matter how many bombs that person has. It doesn't matter what their religion and how much the religion wants to kill me. None of that matters. I absolutely, without any exception whatsoever, say it's okay to go to war and start dropping bombs on people. You know? Because nobody wins in war. Nobody. Except for the ones that are making money from it. And those are all Saturn Dark Lords. Okay, those are all people who are heavily invested in the systems of the Dark Lords. No, it's not okay. It's not okay to drop bombs on populations of people. Even if they are programmed to hate me because of the color of my skin or my religion or lack thereof. Okay? It doesn't matter how they treat their people. It doesn't make it okay to drop bombs on them. It doesn't make it okay to give them bombs to drop on them. It doesn't make it okay to give them money so they can buy bombs to drop on them. Never in any way, shape, or form is that okay. Now you guys can feel how solid my resolve is with that, right? This is the level of resolve we need in relationship to these Dark Lord systems, these Saturn systems, these rhythms. Because all of this trauma is locked inside of us, and I'm going to go over a little bit to finish these thoughts. All this trauma is locked inside of us. And if we continue to feed them, it doesn't matter that we release the trauma, we are still feeding the system to reperpetrate the trauma again, right? So it's not enough to just heal. It's not enough to just release your trauma. You also have to unplug from the offending force. And in that, a new expression of the rhythms of Saturn can come forward. A new expression of those rhythms of Saturn can be manifested through our very subconscious, through our being. This is how we, you, me, reclaim the power of dreaming our world into being. Okay? We have the power to dream our world into being. But we need to understand how that happens, how we can do that. And how looking at these forces in a different way than how we've been taught to look at them is part of that game. Being able to go into the unknown in stillness so we can discover what we don't know. So we can discover what it is we don't know, right? Reclaiming that Jaguar medicine. We all have this capability. You don't need any training. You don't need any medicines. You don't need any degrees. You don't need any tools. You don't need anything but you and your biosuit. You in your birthday suit. That's all you need to go exploring with these capacities. And something really cool you'll discover as you actually have the experience of becoming your own expression of Jaguar, layer upon layer upon layer, is that the Jaguar forces, the nature, the very cosmic nature of Jaguar is deeply, deeply interconnected with the white mother dragon races. Okay? So it's deeply connected to you waking up to who you are as a cosmic multiverse being. But we need to be able to expand our consciousness to that, which is a gradual stepping after step path. Sure, we'll have bursts forward. That absolutely happens. But it's one step in front of the other. Because your ego driver needs to learn a different way of relating to the truth of who you are. Your ego driver needs to be conditioned, needs to be trained / disciplined in order to allow that space to happen for that expansion of your awareness, of your consciousness, and so on. Alrighty. So because this eclipse was at the timing that it was, This is going to have a ripple effect for many months to come, which means how this might look in the 3D, 4D world is that we are going to see the consequences of our elections. We're going to see the consequences of certain narratives, and there are going to be some very, very significant power over dynamics getting revealed to humanity over the next 6 months. So, and it could be, you know, people realizing that there's all these manufactured shortages happening. A great example, this came out of a conversation with my husband and I. A great example is there's a narrative saying that we're going to be out of diesel fuel in 2 weeks, right? And actually I asked my husband about this, and I'm like, what do you think about this? You know, and he's like, it's all bullshit. And I'm like, really? Why? Please tell me why you think it's all bullshit. And it was actually a really down to earth, practical reason why. And I didn't know this. I mean, he knows this because he's a car guy, but I didn't know this. But evidently, pretty much, if in order to refine gasoline, the first stage of the product before gasoline is diesel. So if anybody's making gasoline, by default, they're making diesel. There you go. That's simple. So that means if there is a shortage, we know it was purposely man-made, right? Same thing with products. The thing is that all of these games are designed to put people in a panic, to put people in a place where they're making so much noise they cannot see the forest through the trees. You know, they're making so much noise inside of themselves they cannot see the forest through the trees. And that's how these manipulations go. And this is why you, me, the other starseeds and indigos are here on this planet, because we can see, we have the capacity, we have abilities for us to step past that game. We are not controlled by those systems once we wake up to them. Once we wake up to them, it's like, oh, and then we have such an expanded kind of awareness that we can imagine something different, and then we have the courage to go do it. And we do. You know, I quite literally created my own position because I didn't like any of the positions that the society had to offer me. I quite literally invented it out of my own dreamscape. See, so I know what I'm telling you is true. It works because I'm doing it myself. And yes, I'm also still very, very human, believe me. I'm still very human. But, you know, it's like I'm imagining a world where all of us, starseeds and indigos and a new paradigm visionaries, are in support of each other to do this very thing for ourselves and our people, our family, our communities, our beloveds. We do this for ourselves and humanity. And we are supportive of each other in doing this. I mean, that's something that's near and dear to my heart. And that's, you know, why I do what I do. Because I really want to empower all of you who are willing to step up into your power, step up into your way showership. I want to empower you. I want to use my particular gifts to serve you in becoming successful and realizing your vision. You becoming successful in stepping into dreaming the world into being. That's what I want. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I'm going to continue to do that until my last breath in this body. And I'll probably still continue to do that even after I leave this body. And that's because I have an innate knowing that I am deeply invested in what happens with the life on this earth, of this earth. It's like I want to see Pachamama rise again to her fullness. I want to see the cosmic mother get resurrected and be alive again within this earth and all of her people. Okay. Alrighty, darlings. Well, on my way out of this conversation, I want to show you guys another really cool activating video, similar to the rhythms that I was just showing you, but a different one. And oh yeah, I got to remember to drop these links into the comments. So here, I'm going to put this first, the one that I just showed you guys is this link right here. You can watch the whole video. And then I'm going to go into, let's see, I want to add screen again. And I'm going to close out with this last video. Because this is actually, I think this is my favorite one, but it's the longest one, and it doesn't show the rhythms as clearly as that other one. All right, so let me get to the tab here. Here we go. And I will close out with playing this video for you. Let me get to the scene I want to share. There it is. All right. I'm going to go ahead and hit play so you guys can have it. Okay, you guys can see it. Good. Check it out. Love this. This is such an activating visual. Such an activating visual. So hold on, we have to get into here. There it is. There it is. Just sit with that. And these are just the inner planets that they're showing. What happened? Imagine what happens with this visual when the outer planets are included. Okay. That's it for me, guys. Thank you so much for being here. If you guys are interested in participating and deepening in your ability of dreaming this world into being, I highly encourage you guys to check out the core curriculum and the Dreamtime Healing Project at the Academy. We do also have something called the Healer Acceleration Lab, but we're not quite open. We're not open for enrollments in that program. But for the Dreamtime Healing Project and the core curriculum, which is an empowered empath work, please check out lightbodyacademy.com. lightbodyacademy.com, and you can read all about that. You can join in anytime. It's an ongoing program that is constantly, moving forward and practicing building a strong energy field, practicing empowered empath skills so you can have a more potent and powerful dream time, but also navigate this crazy, chaotic world as well. Pretty much transmuting the burdens of your sensitivities into your greatest blessing. That's what the core curriculum can do for you. And then, of course, take that a step further and start and participate in dream clinics and explore just how powerful your dream time can be. All right, I'll read these last comments, and then I'm going to be off for today. Thank you again, guys. All right. So Joanne goes on to say, I believe the other intense decibel level of ambulance and fire engine sirens are set to maintain a crisis feeling in the neighborhood. Oh yeah. We have, there's a house that we were flipping in Ohio, and every day there was an ambulance going by. It was on the main street in town. It was like the main street to the hospital. Oh, it was terrible. I really didn't like that. Dear sister, Lisa Marie says, I see you and you're dreaming into being. I meet you there, and thank you for bringing this forward and our greater goodness. Thanks for witnessing my dreaming. Mwah. Love you, darling. Thank you for that. That's wonderful. Thank you, Polly. So glad you're here. All right, guys, that's it for me. Have a great week. We will see you next time. If you want to participate in the conversations, I encourage you, Rise of the Multidimensional Human group in Facebook, which you have to answer all the questions to get automatically entered into that. And then there's the Multidimensional Human group on Telegram. That's how we communicate the most. Thank you, guys. Mwah. We shall see you next time. Bye-bye. Bye.